You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network and the John Fredericks Radio app, and I am your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables, trucking the truth every day. Guess where we are today? Our Open America Tour continuing. TGIF. Last segment at the headquarters, world headquarters of the Virginia 30-Day Fund, right here in the People's Republic of Charlottesville. It's great to be here. Person Snyder is with us. She's just joined us. Pete Snyder here. They are the founders. As Chap Peterson said, the mom and dad of the Virginia 30-Day Fund. And they are here. Martha Bonetta here. Bea is here. Their daughter. Puppies running around. Mice running around that we found in a table. And much to the chagrin of my cat, Sammy, who, if he was here, would have made quick breakfast out of them. But he's not with us today, but it's good to have you. Next week, the Godzilla Roadshow continues. We're going to the belly of the beast, Martha, next week.
Yes.
We're going to New York and New Jersey, Cape May, Atlantic City, Spring Lake, New York City, all next week, where all hell is breaking loose there. And we'll be with Congressman Jeff Van Drew in Cape May on Thursday. I got that set up. And we'll go from there. And Burson Snyder with us. Burson, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you, John. Welcome to Charlottesville.
Thank you for having me here to your home, and thank you for all you guys have done. It's been a lot of fun. Got an op-ed out today about Open Virginia, and thank you for making us this delicious breakfast. Thank you.
I worked all morning. I heated. I microwaved.
Did you?
I unbagged.
Did you bake the biscuits?
I Grubhubbed. Very well. Very effectively.
Very good Grubhubber.
Yes, very good Grubhubber.
Very good Grubhub. Okay, just before we get back to Virginia 30-Day Fund, I just got to tell you that this former senator, I think this is Montana Democrat Max Baucus, who has always been a China apologist. Max Baucus was the ambassador to China in the Obama administration, and now he is China's propaganda elitist. He's going on all the Chinese networks, blasting the Trump administration and defending the Chinese Communist Party. It's kind of sick that you would be in the U.S. Senate, serve as ambassador, and now for money criticize your own country in order to get paid, as I guess he's registered as a foreign lobbyist or something. But what a piece of work he is, Max Baucus. Joining us now is Ivan Rikosh. Ivan is the owner of Zocolo, an awesome Charlottesville restaurant downtown on the mall, and I know he knows Pete and he knows Burson. Ivan, great to have you.
Hi, thank you. How are you?
Good. Ivan, tell us about your business and how you guys met Pete and what the VA 30-Day Fund has done for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. I feel that in order to do justice to myself as a human, I need to go on record and say that I am a masker. I very strongly believe in wearing masks. To go further with that, I also perhaps have some different political views, but this show right now is not about politics.
Right.
So I just wanted to go on the record and talk about that just for a moment. But let me talk about
that's good, Ivan. And this is Pete, because we are sending y'all masks. Leadberry in Richmond has sponsored every single business that we've funded and are sending everyone masks. So, Johnny,
thank you so
hey, look,
much.
you could,
I'm not a masker.
That's all right, Johnny. Hey, Johnny, we can disagree on that.
That's
I think especially if you're in Ivan's industry, if you're in Ivan's industry, in the restaurant industry, you better have masks.
Well, look, I think.
So let me just go a little further to say that I'm 45 years old. I've been in the hospitality business for 25 years. My job is to serve customers, no matter what their beliefs are, and so I've learned not really to talk politics, and that's not why I'm here. So it doesn't matter whether I agree or disagree with the whole premise of any of this. What I'm here to talk about is this wonderful fund that the Snyders started. When COVID hit in early March, like I said, I've owned my restaurant for 17 years. when COVID hit, I immediately went from having an income to having zero income. And while the government, dragged their feet getting the PPP program out, there were a couple of weeks of, what am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? How am I going to pay my staff's health insurance? How am I going to, continue to keep some of my staff on and have them not become part of the system of unemployment, et cetera. And the Snyders started this fund, and really no questions asked. I don't know what their political views are. I don't know what their religious views are. I don't know anything really that personal about them, except for that they care about Charlottesville, they care about the restaurant industry, and they care about, people in general. And so it was really no questions asked. We could have different religious views. We could have different political views. They really didn't care. And that kind of, I would say, charity is the best kind of charity, where you are just giving to the greater good without any strings attached. And I'm incredibly grateful for their support.
How do you see this playing out, Ivan? Again, I'm not talking politics here, but I just want to see, you're a business owner, you own a restaurant, been there 17 years, almost 2 decades. I'm in favor of opening up Virginia now. I don't think the metrics or the data or the science or anything else that this governor has attempted to spew out make any justification to continue to shut down. How do you see this playing out? Do you want Charlottesville
that's a tricky
open?
question.
Do you want to be able to serve people in your restaurant? How do you see it playing out?
I think that a lot of it is now I'm going to sound like you. A lot of it's a personal choice. I think the governor, in some degree, getting out of the way and saying, look, it's up to you to decide what you feel good about.
Hear, hear.
I think that different localities need to handle it differently. I believe that Charlottesville, with our, 75 cases and only a very few handful of deaths, I think we're different than Northern Virginia. I also think that the downtown mall, where my restaurant is, which is densely populated, is different than Albemarle County, which is where all the wineries and the breweries are. So I think that it's very, very geographically specific. And I think that, part of my concern about opening is that Charlottesville really is very tourism-based. And if everything were open, sure, we're insulated now. But if we open up and get tourists from Richmond and from D.C. and New York, and all of a sudden it's come to our community. And right now our community is safe, and our community is very minimally affected by COVID, and I sure would like to keep it that way. I also would like to be open and make some money, because that's why I own a business. So, I'm very, very torn, but I feel like it's very short-sighted. Personally, if my economy, which is probably my personal economy, which probably runs tighter margins than the U.S. government, because I can't print money like they can, if I can survive for 3 months, so can the U.S. economy. And
hey, Ivan, Ivan, this is Pete, and hey, we just we absolutely love what you do in the community. We had tacos on Tuesday night from y'all, and they were absolutely amazing. And we just appreciate everything that you are doing for the community and you're doing for your people. And can you tell us a little bit? I know this because you and I have talked, but can you tell us about how you're managing your folks and what you're doing with them and what business decisions you had to make to survive? And I think it's just you've shown great leadership through this. And I think people, we hear stories every single day about the heroes, the nurses and the doctors and the first responders that are literally saving lives. We don't hear enough about the business heroes like you, who have a ton of people relying on them for their paycheck and for their livelihoods. Tell us a little bit about some of the decisions you've had to make and what you've done with your team.
Okay, absolutely. I'd be happy to. Thanks, Peter. Well, when all this happened, I promised my team that they would have jobs. Unfortunately, I broke that promise. I was not able to keep everybody employed. I have been able to keep all of my full-time employees employed, and as the as the weeks have kind of played out, I've been able to bring a few more people back. So I'm running about 50% of my employees right now. But another thing that I promised all of my employees as a restaurant owner was that they would never be hungry. And I never wanted them to not be able to pay their rent. So if they were not able to get unemployment, to come talk to me, and I would give them a personal loan. And if they weren't able to eat, I would be happy to provide food for them. We have made little not gifts, because we made little, we make boxes of food to give our staff if they need them on a regular basis. And, we've really tried to keep our family, our restaurant family, intact. Everybody is excited to get back to work. We cannot wait to open the restaurant. We are chomping at the bit, so to speak, to get it open. But we also are very anxious to do it in a way that makes sense. And as everybody knows, as you've all heard about, restaurants run on such tight margins. They're running at 25% capacity. It's actually a losing scenario. We need to be open in order to make money. Furthermore, part of my business is my very healthy bar business. And I also have a very, very healthy Friday and Saturday night, kind of late night. So
Ivan, would you be happy on Monday if the governor said, okay, the numbers no longer really support me shutting everything down? Of course, he'll never say that because he's basically has to answer to the left wing that kept him in that governor's chair when he had to resign. So, I'm a political realist. But if he just simply came out and said, okay, we're set to open, I'm going to leave it up to individual business owners, and I'm going to leave it up to Virginians to decide what to do. But if you want to go into a restaurant and sit at the bar, go ahead. If you don't. But the numbers that we have, the science and data no longer justify shutting everything down. How would you react to that, Ivan?
Well, I'm sure you've heard all of the funny memes and whatnot about, jumping out of an airplane with a parachute, and you slow down and then you're like, oh, well, it slowed down. I guess I can take the parachute off before you hit the ground. Well, that's not a smart idea. And that's where I feel that we are. And that's where I feel a lot of people are right now, is that, yeah, you're right. The numbers don't reflect it anymore because we stayed home, because we kept things closed. And if we do open everything back up really quickly, it is going to happen again. And you're going to smack right into the ground without a parachute. And as a business owner, the amount of money that I spent closing and the amount of money that I'm going to have to spend opening, I want to make sure that when I open, I'm open for good and there's no second wave. Because if I have to close again, it's going to break me. So, and I do believe in science.
Good point.
So.
Well, define a second wave, though. I mean, there's no metrics here, right? We say second wave. Yeah. We say there's going to be a hot spot. We say define a second wave. Does that mean more people?
I think
what's a second wave? Because when this thing was shut down, it was shut down because the hospitals were going to get overrun. The hospitals weren't overrun. Then it was ventilators.
You're right.
So define a second wave.
Okay, I guess for me, another big part of the picture, I think you're right, and I don't want to start arguing semantics and science with you, but I think another big factor is consumer confidence. Just because I'm open doesn't mean they're going to come.
Right.
And
that's an excellent point.
I live in Charlottesville is an incredibly liberal town,
right?
And which is why I live here. And
right.
If you wanted to open it up on Monday, like you said, with the governor, and they were able to hold polling of every single county and let each county decide, if there was some way for them to do that, you can bet your ass that Charlottesville would vote to stay closed.
Right.
And so whether I'm open or not, if the customers aren't coming, it doesn't make a difference. Right. And the customers aren't going to come. There was some data released by OpenTable. I don't know if you know what OpenTable is. Which
yes,
is
I do. Yes,
a reservation system. And Charleston opened up last weekend, and restaurants were allowed to. I don't know the exact metrics of how much they were allowed to be open or this or that. But even with their being open, they were off 71% year over year for that weekend. So right. Even though they were allowed to be open, there was nobody there.
Right.
So, there needs to be consumer confidence in addition to me being allowed to open. And,
Right.
I don't know, you'd probably say it's the fake news. I'd probably say it's your fake news, everything. Who knows what the heck's going on? But there is, I don't have the answer. But I know personally, I'm at phase 2. They're talking about being June 5th, where that's something that I will strongly consider. Another 10 days of being closed is not the end of the world at this point. And we can see what's happened over the last week and see how things play out. And, I'm optimistic that maybe June 5th we'll be able to start, seating some customers.
Ivan, those are excellent points, and there's a reason why you've been successful for 17 years in your industry, because you understand the consumer, right? You understand your market, you understand Charlottesville and what works here in Charlottesville, and I think that's a testament to your success. And, the fact of the matter here is, John, no one has the answers right now. No one has the answers.
The answer is open the damn economy up so we can get back to work. That's the answer. And if people don't want to come,
well, hey, Johnny,
they're not gonna come. That's the answer.
Johnny, I am supportive of opening up the economy without a doubt. But again, Ivan makes a great point on consumer confidence. So, look, I'm in favor. I just did an op-ed talking about opening up the economy. We need to do everything we can. And this is where government comes into play, right? Government can provide tonnage, meaning $2 trillion pumped into the economy for PPP and SBA. They can also do a better job of testing and making sure that consumers feel safe to come out there. You look at every level of government, that has not been done well. And
yes,
when
Pete,
that's done better.
That's the biggest point, consumer confidence.
What does testing have to do with anything? I could test today and I could be negative, and then I could go pump gas at the BP and I get it off the pump handle. What am I going to do, Ivan? Get tested every 5 times a day in perpetuity? Testing doesn't have anything to do. The whole testing thing is irrelevant. Open the damn economy up and then let people decide, Ivan. And if they feel like going out, they're going to go out. If they don't, they don't. But leave it up to us. I'll decide if I'm going to go out, and I would go out because, look, when you take the Stanford model and you take some of these other models, the death rate for people under 65 is on a par with regular influenza. So if I got it,
John,
or Martha got it, or person got it, you're going to get sick. Like my wife was sick for 4 days. She was in bed for 3. It's a horrible bug. She got over it. And you go on with life. We have shut down the economy and destroyed our civil liberties because people are afraid to get what is a pretty nasty bug. No one under 65 is dying from this without under health instances. And meantime, the country is going down the tubes. This is insanity, Ivan, as far as I'm concerned. It's insane.
Yeah, let me
and
ask
it's
you a
going to go down in
question,
history
John.
as the biggest mistake that's ever been made in the world.
Hey, John, stop talking for a second and let Ivan talk.
And Sweden.
Hey, Ivan, I wish you were here because you could actually give John a wedgie, right?
Yeah, totally.
Hey, man, it's the end of the show.
Let Ivan have
John,
the last word.
Go
ahead,
open,
Ivan.
John, if I were open, would you, and I refuse service if you didn't wear a mask, would you become a masker all of a sudden?
If I loved your place and I had to have a mask to go in, and that's really where I wanted to eat, I would consider it, but probably I would go to the store without a mask because I don't feel like putting on a mask. And I don't think it does anything.
I wouldn't, one of the beautiful things about owning a restaurant is I can refuse service to anybody for any reason.
Right.
And I
but
certainly would be refusing
that
you
would
service.
be, you're right.
So.
Right. I mean, that's why we live in the United States of America, and that's
we have
because
freedoms.
of freedom and personal liberty. And that means that as a restaurant owner, you can turn anybody away you want to. And if John Fredericks doesn't want to wear a mask, by golly, he doesn't have to.
I'm not a masker. I'm not an
right.
anti-vaxxer.
Land
but
of the
I'm an
free.
anti-vaxxer.
Land of the free.
Ivan, thank you very much. Zocalo. Ivan, if people
Thank you
do
so
want
much.
to get outside service and order, where do they go? What's your website?
Still doing curbside, and so you can still order from us. You just have to eat it at home.
What's your website, Ivan?
It's Zocalo-restaurant.com.
Zocalo-restaurant.com. Thanks, Ivan.
Ivan, thanks for all you're doing.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ivan.
Pete. Thanks, Person. Thanks, Martha.